Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of October. I hope you are well. I'm using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. I can barely get that out. Hear that? What do I have to tell you? I don't think I really have much to tell you today. If you haven't seen these videos before, I like to keep them shorter than the main monthly reading. It's more of an energetic check-in, but it's coming from a slightly different perspective, in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I believe there is a lesson, or in fact, wisdom, contained within every interaction and experience that we have. Excuse me. If we can just but see it. And sometimes when we're stuck down in the minutiae of what's going on day to day, it can be quite difficult to see what that is. So the idea of this is to try and help you get a broader perspective, right? It's an exercise in perspective, essentially. What we do is pull 3 cards for your current energy, and then we'll pull 3 cards to see why you are there in the first place. What is trying to be shown to you at this time? What is here for you to learn? Because I think when you can pull back and look at it in that way, then it makes this, what can be, at times very challenging energy, a little easier to navigate. We'll close out with 3 cards of advice and see if we can't help you, on your way a little bit. So I hope that makes sense. Let's just get straight on with it. I try and keep these a little bit shorter, so I don't pull any clarifiers, although sometimes I do. Right? It just depends how I feel. But we'll see how it goes. Right, and I have 3 cards for Libra's current energy, please. There's 1, there's 2. We have the 8 of Swords right here. We have the King of Cups. And let's get 1 more. We have the 6 of Pentacles. I felt that coming before it actually arrived. We have the 2 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Now, this is a card of partnership. It doesn't have to be romantic relationships, although it absolutely can refer to those. It is more about those important relationships that you hold. When you drill down into it, I think essentially that this card is talking about intimacy and the different levels of intimacy that we experience in different types of partnerships. So, this could well indicate business partnerships, friends, family, but it can also be partners and spouses and, boyfriends and girlfriends and that kind of thing. So it seems to me like the focus for the last 2 weeks for you is very much on relationships, but more the places where you feel a level of restriction in your relationships. The 8 of Swords, message of the 8 of Swords is very, very clear. It is about being stuck. It is about feeling trapped. But the broader message of the 8 of Swords is that feeling of restriction is all up here. It isn't here, and it isn't necessarily here. Right? If you're feeling stuck and trapped, it's often mental. Right? It's often trying to see things in too narrow a way and not realizing that you have options. You have the ability to change whatever at any given point. Now, we've got a King of Cups here, which could refer to a Scorpio, could be a water sign. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, because this is about the energetic presentation. It's not about the gender, right? Tarot doesn't care about gender. So, with this 6 of Pentacles, which is the card that I felt, obviously you're Libra, you like to bring balance into things, right? It's always about the pursuit of balance and harmony for you. It seems like there's a tension here in your close relationships. Now, like I said, this King of Cups could refer to a water sign, but I think it's you. I think it's all about the way that you process your emotions with regard to the relationships that you're in at the moment and where you are feeling stuck or trapped in any particular thing. The way to bring balance to it all hinges on this, right? Looking at this and spending a bit of time working out why it is that you feel the way that you do, right? Oh, there's a whole load of things came in there. We'll save that. The tension feels, like I said, in this need to bring balance. the need to build bridges, actually, because as I'm looking at the Six of Pentacles, I'm kind of just zoning out the entire scene at the front, and the thing that I'm looking at is the bridge in the background, which is not something that I often pay that much attention to, but there it is. It's almost like a need to build bridges with people, a desire to build bridges with people, because actually that, I just noticed that the bridge actually looks like it's on fire to me at the back there, right? Have you possibly been a little sharp-tongued over something, Libra? Are you concerned that you might have burnt a bridge with someone that you actually wanted to keep alight? I think that that's possible. And so what you seem to be doing is working through your feelings here. And perhaps the burning of the bridge was unintentional, but a shadowy part of you trying to come out, trying to express something that at this point you find difficult to articulate, and it feels like it's kind of come out sideways from Mercury retrograde. Is still very much in operation for the next few days. I think it stations, Mercury stations direct on the 18th, I think, of October. It's around about there. But we do have that 2-week shadow period afterwards. And I do feel a great deal of tension. Tension that you're trying to work your way through at the moment. It's a combination of trying to honour your feelings and do what's right for you, but also it's kind of like a scream into the void about how trapped you feel in some particular way. And it does seem like you're looking at these relationships, you're looking at your reaction to these relationships, and trying to work out if you are coming from the right place. I mean, the King of Cups is a very good card for emotional stability and maturity, you know. Balance, we like a bit of that. But I always think that this king here is staring in a very fixed way, like he's not looking at the scene in front of him, and you know the water's kind of crashing around him there. He's not in any danger of being knocked off the throne, and yet still those eyes are fixed and staring forwards, almost like he's processing something in his head, or he's looking, you know, he's replaying a scene in his head and trying to see it from a different perspective. Let's get some cards and see why you are in this energy at the moment. I have 3 cards for why Libra is here, please. Okay. Whoa. So the first card that we have is the Emperor, which interestingly enough came out in the reverse as it dropped onto the table, and then when the other card dropped onto it, it fell onto the floor and it came up right here. And I think actually that process of which way up is this supposed to be is quite important in this. To wit, I'm going to put down sideways since it couldn't quite decide which way it was coming out. The next card that you got is the 3 of Wands there. I like that. I have one more card for Libra, please. Thank you. We have the Knight of Wands, interesting, and the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So the Ace of Swords is that which you are looking for at the moment here. You know, there's a lot of emotional processing going on, but there's an intellectual background to that. The Ace of Swords is all about new ideas and new ways of putting, you know, things together in your head, and I do feel like that's what you're desperately searching for at the moment, certainly to try and break out of this. It seems like whatever's occurred it's come from a very pure emotional place, but perhaps it hasn't expressed itself very well. And what's happening now is you're kind of like, is this even right? You know, why do I feel like this? Why has this situation engendered this kind of response in me? The clarity that you're looking for is coming because you're absolutely on the right path with the way that you're trying to sort this situation out at the moment. Now, the Emperor is Aries energy, and these cards here are why you are in this energy at the moment. The Emperor is associated with, you know, planning and strategy and taking charge of things, very closely associated with control. Now, this way round, it's having very pronounced control issues. But this way round is much more positive. You know, it's Aries, so it's associated with Mars and action. Are you trying to control a situation, or are you just trying to do the right thing? You know, it seems to me like you're kind of spinning, and your task in the last 2 weeks of October is to hit a level of comprehension, right? A new way of seeing the world, getting all of the information together and sort of pulling back from it slightly, turning around and looking at it from a different angle. And by it, I mean you and your emotional responses and that sort of thing. To get the clarity that you need in order for the Emperor to do that which he is good at. And that is taking control in a very positive way of you and yourself and your situation. And, you know, one would say that you're feeling quite disempowered at the moment if you're stuck in some sort of thing. You know, this is definitely the way out for you. But it's backed up also by the Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands. All very fiery energy for you here, Libra. You are an air sign, but air and fire work very, very well together. So it's almost like until you work out mentally, intellectually, cerebrally, what it is that you're reacting to and whether that is right, you know, until you can kind of push through that, you're not going to have the opportunity to take the action that you so desperately seem to want to take at this time. Fucking window. Because the Three of Wands, I've, for the last month or two actually, I've been looking at this card, and this card is screaming changed behaviour to me. Now, what I'm not saying is that you have been doing anything wrong up until this point, but there is a way in which you can, and I feel are looking to change the way that you, I don't know, that you deal with people, you deal with relationships, you know. Neither of these cards particularly scream dealing with people, which is interesting, because although that seems to have been the originating point of the energy that you're in at the moment, this seems to be bringing an awful lot back to you, right? And it could be that the, you know, whichever actor it is who is, you know, playing out this particular lesson for you to see at this time doesn't really matter. You know, it could be, like I said, it could be a spouse, it could be a partner, but it could be somebody a little further away from that. The important thing is the reaction that it has brought up in you. That's the thing that requires examination. And, you know, actually, let me just look at these. King and the Emperor sat in entirely, you know, almost identical positions there, and both staring ahead with that fixed glare. You know, it's also whatever's going on outside of you at this point actually isn't really important. All of the focus needs to go inward. And the Emperor is the King of Kings, so he contains all of the attributes of all of the kings as you would find them here. So the emotional part is very, very important, but it seems to me that it's a key to unlocking how you move forwards, you know, from a Wands point of view. And what do you need to change? You know, what do you need to change? Is this bridge actually important? Because here we have this bridge, and I said, like, it looks like it's on fire to me at this moment in time. It's not the way I usually look at it. But this bridge is actually, it's not traversing water. There is literally just grass underneath this bridge. Now, water in the tarot is emotion. Are you perhaps trying to hang on to a relationship, a partnership, you know, a friendship, whatever it is, maybe even a business partnership, where there is no emotion in there, right? There is nothing actually to cross. This bridge is unnecessary because perhaps this situation is something that you could do with turning away from. Like if you need to get from one side of here to the other, you can just walk across the grass. You don't need to go over the bridge. But when we come down here, we've got a chap who is turned and looking at the sea. You know, it's just like there's almost more for you turning away from this. If you head this way, you know, these ships are headed out of the harbour there. He's overseeing them. Your emotions feel quite muddy at the moment. So, the path that you're on and the way that you are doing things, I think, is absolutely the right one. And I think it is quite likely that you will come to a surprise decision that actually you didn't need that bridge in the first place. What you need to do is go and walk to the coast and go and start putting out ships in a different way, like where the emotion is. The emotion is the important signifier for you here. But we also have this Knight of Wands. Very, very present energy. The Knight of Wands is Sagittarius and gets quite a bad rap. But no card in the tarot is all good and all bad. There are shades of everything contained within it, both. And the positive aspect of this card is that ability to live in the moment. And he symbolises freedom, liberty, the ability to be spontaneous and go and do things that you want to do. This is all about removing the restrictions that are keeping you trapped in one place that you are not enjoying at the moment. Understanding that perhaps certain relationships have, done what they were supposed to, and perhaps it's time to move on and liberate yourself in the process. There's a lot of growth here in this period. Now, I know that there's actually Saturn went direct yesterday, so that's Saturn deals very much with restrictions and going, particularly when you've got Saturn in retrograde, is going back over things. Have you done things properly? Well, I think the bridge is here, but it's been built in the wrong place. There's nothing for it to traverse. Now it is time for you to go and find the water, which is so very important to where you move next. Quelling this here, which is possibly the only thing that is really holding you back at this time. Let's get you some cards of advice. I have 3 cards of advice for Libra, please. Oh, I like that. Very first one is the Queen of Swords. That's your card. That's Libra there. We have the 6 of Cups. So one more for Libra, please. Thank you. Oh, good Lord. We have the Justice card, which is the Libra card in the Major Arcana. We have the 8 of Cups. I'm feeling very vindicated in the way that this reading is turning out now here. Ooh, High Priestess underneath that. The presence of water here in these cards, I think, is highly significant. Not just because of the emotions that you are processing, but what is important for you moving forwards. The 8 of Cups speaks about leaving behind situations that no longer serve you. And to be honest, I think that there's a great deal of that going on here for you. But it's that understanding that even though you spent some time and effort amassing these cups in whatever relationships we happen to be referring to at this time, they're done. There's nothing more for you here. And then this chap here is gone off in pursuit of his 9th cup, which is happiness, all sorts of things. High Priestess is sat underneath there, and she is a very powerful card when it comes to sorting out your emotions. I mean, she is somewhat of an oracle. She has all of the answers. You have all of the answers. You already know what you need to do. And I think perhaps the issue here is letting go. It's just allowing yourself to let go as you need to. Like I said, the Queen of Swords and the Justice card are both cards of Libra. Oh, happy birthday, by the way. If I didn't mention, I don't think I did mention that at the beginning. Happy birthday for Libra season anyway. But this, I'm glad it was the 8 of Swords that came. Because you are an air sign. And because it is important for you to understand yourself. But also because it feels like there's new information coming in. And sometimes that new information can be a conversation with people, but other times it is just being able to put those 2 dots together. Ones that sat a little further apart than dots you would usually. Keep forgetting my words. Put together. Go with put together again. But for me, the Queen of Swords is a lower echo of the Justice card. So the Justice card is that universal balance. It can sometimes be karma, you know, and karma is neutral. I have to say, karma is consequences. Whether those are good consequences or bad consequences is literally just a matter of perspective. Sometimes it's just it is what it is, you know, and knowing when it's okay to let go of that and move on. Turn your face towards the sea, towards the horizon, and see what else there is there for you. You know, it seems like there's something within you that's coming up from the past. We have the Six of Cups. It is a card of the past. It can also be a card of children, and perhaps what's going on here is something that's coming, you know, via one of your children. I'm not suggesting you turn away and walk away from your children, but certainly with adult children, occasionally there would be a need to put up a boundary. But this feels more to me about getting an insight into something that has triggered you. You know, it's not about the situation, like I said, that is in front of you. It's about the way that it has touched you, what it has revealed within you. You know, the card that was sitting behind the High Priestess there is the Seven of Cups, and I don't think there's any surprise about that, because there is confusion here. There is a reaction here that is making you feel a little unbalanced. And there is really naught to do but to work through that. Keep working through it. See where it takes you. Because in order to really truly bring the balance that you're looking for, and that is that major arcana, you know, big balance here, in order to get this in, truly, you need to be being the Queen of Swords here. You need to be able to sift through all of this information and look at it properly. Like, this is not about getting washed away in your feelings. It's almost maturing and becoming more stable by being able to step back from your feelings somewhat. And the Queen of Swords here is beckoning the Six of Cups, or whether that is your children or your past or your childhood, something like that, and looking at it with an objective eye. Like, why do I feel like this? Where has this come from? You know, I'm always talking about this in every reading that I do. You know, interrogate yourself. Do not just assume that everything is the way that it is and nothing can change and that you won't change, because there's something, you're trying to break out of something at the moment, Libra. Although we don't have the Magician, it seems quite clear to me that there is a lot here within you already for you to work with. It's just about releasing it and liberating it, you know? Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, Libra. Hope it helped and all that. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.